People seem to think that this Irish oil and gas licensing issue can be left until there is large-scale production, and then we would go about changing the deal. Well, it can't. In a matter of weeks, licence terms which will be valid for years to come will be determined by the Minister. The last time there was a review, this Minister chose to dismiss the advice, which was to raise the tax rate on Irish oil and gas to 80%. This is from KildareStreet.com, which is a searchable archive of everything that's been said in the Dáil and all written parliamentary questions since January 2004. This is a question from Andrew Doyle of Fine Gael, who chaired the Joint Committee on Communications, Natural Resources and Agriculture, which produced the May 2012 report on Irish oil and gas exploration. He asks the Minister, to whom the committee reported, for a statement on the matter. The Joint Oireachtas Committee had called for the tax rate on Irish oil and gas to be increased to 80%. The Minister says, as regards the recommendation for a almost doubling of the existing tax rate applying to petroleum production, I would strongly argue that this particular recommendation is not underpinned by the facts and analysis contained in the committee's own report. Basically, the Minister chooses to ignore any recommendations which do not suit, so why waste taxpayers' money on consultants? For an issue of this national importance, there is very little balanced coverage in the Irish national media, but then the same Minister is also in charge of communications and broadcast licensing. Therefore, it is entirely up to you to spread this message and see if the media pick it up. If the Irish people do not get involved now and insist on change, the Minister could again do nothing to get a better deal for Ireland, and the current review will be another rubber stamp exercise and a further waste of Irish taxpayers' money to foreign consultants.
The whole purpose of the consultancy going on at the moment, which will be finished by the end of May, I will announce the new round by the middle of June.
Okay.
The whole purpose is to try and provide certainty, provide openness and transparency in terms of how it was arrived at, and I can assure you that if there were Norwegian-size fines, there will be Norwegian-size taxes. I am like most people. I am crushed by what you have done. I didn't believe that it could come to this. But now we're handing over our decision-making for the next 3 to 5 years to outsiders. And a new government is going to find itself in a straitjacket because of the decisions you've made. I think what's afoot here is that there is a very polite campaign going in Dalkey to protect Dalkey from any prospect of drilling offshore. And I'd like to protect Dalkey too. But instead of setting about it the way they did in North Mayo, they've decided to write a book. And Eddie has brought together a number of people of a singular point of view to write a book. And the hope is that it will scare away any prospect of drilling in off Dalkey, and therefore, as he says in the book, keep it in the ground. Now, unfortunately, I live in the real world. And now you come out here saying somehow this is someone else's fault, not our fault. It's the fault of the Irish government, and you ought to be ashamed of where you have brought us. We're not. Well, you ought to be. That's the problem with you. You're not ashamed. You don't have any shame.
Pat, let him respond.
We're not giving it to them for practically nothing. Hold on, Pat. You ought to be ashamed to show your face in this studio after what you have brought our country to penury and the damage that you have done to people's livelihoods and start the young people immigrating again. You have destroyed this economy and you engaged in lies. Yeah, well, I mean, isn't that what you tend to do during an election? You denied it and then you went on to pretend. I didn't say anything of the kind. It's about time you went, because you can do no more damage to this country, and coming on here with your old palaver about this and that and structuring and all, you didn't do anything to avoid the crisis that was coming down the tracks at us. You brought us to ruin. No, you had the opportunities to take some actions and you didn't. Pat, there isn't anybody in the country who thinks that you're going to lead us out of anything. Well, in 40 years, that hasn't happened. You have led us into the mess. Every figure that you have announced, you have made it worse. There is no confidence in this country, in this government, and I really I find it, like most Irish people, I find it unbelievable that the people who have done this to us, that has brought the country to this crisis in terms of unemployment, in terms of cuts now going to be inflicted on the poorest and most vulnerable in our society, that you can go on, that if we find Norwegian-style oil, we will have Norwegian-style taxes. And there is nothing that I can do, even if I wanted to prevent the Minister for Finance of the day going into the Dáil and changing the Finance Act. But first of all, I'd like to know that we have some oil. We haven't found any oil yet. And yet you have all this noise about me giving away oil, selling it for nothing, the oil companies coming in and taking it.
You could do an awful lot better than that trite that I've been listening to for the last few minutes. For heaven's sake, Pat.